The only thing is I had to buy my own Bluetooth adapter because it's Bluetooth the Bluetooth on board was you barely reached anything. So I have my own set. All right, we're going to go live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start streaming. And start. Oh my. Oh my. By the way, I have that whole like loop video playing.
Huh?
So that kind of helps me out with the whole live thing. So okay, this is going still. We'll kind of go live here. Oh. So that way, like, until I'm ready to stream, like it lets my audience know that we're kind of getting ready. So now in my channel,
Get ready to turn right.
It should be kind of like, oh, you're about to stream. And it's working both on Twitch
straight on.
and
Go straight on.
What you call it? Twitch and YouTube. So on Twitch it's streaming, on YouTube it's streaming. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. That reminds me that I need to finish the animation for mine, like the same thing that you did. I was working on an animation that I haven't finished because I wasn't exactly sure how it would blend with each other. Like when you switch from like if you go away from keyboard or whatever, like you have to stop for a moment. That kind of animation, or when you're about to stream, you know, it's like going live soon. And when you're actually live, like with the layout for that, like how everything would transition between each other. But then I realized that OBS Studio, what you're using right now, right? Is what you're using?
Yes.
That it does it for you. That there are different animations for you, like transitions for that. So now I can actually finish it. Now knowing that, I can actually finish it and see how it comes out.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm going to switch to me. My shot one, I don't know if you can see the stream.
No, I can't. I can't see it. Ooh, I can't see anything. I just realized that. Hold on. I gotta... 1 second. I mean, you just continue. I'm just going to quickly fix that problem because I can't see your screen.
No, just go now right before I start because I want you to be kind of like ready because as soon as I switch the angle, they'll be able to hear you.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, so starting in 5, 4, 3. Welcome everybody, Magnus here, and if you're new to this channel, I tend to talk about games, especially nostalgic games that come back to life, with my favorite series being Shenmue. So if you're new to my channel, definitely consider subscribing. Today's video, and it's a live stream, is a conversation between myself and the other gamer. Now, what's your name? Because I forget his name.
Manny.
His name is Manny.
Or people who are real close to me, they know me as Cheeky.
Yeah, I tend to call him Cheeky every now and then. But welcome to the stream, Manny Cheeky Manny.
Manny Cheeky.
Yes. If you've seen the title and you already clicked on this because you want to know what I have to talk about, then I don't need to tell you what the title is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's something that's actually been on my mind recently, and it's this whole Soulja Boy game console. Now, he had one that he released, or tried to release, in 2018 before Nintendo sent him a cease and desist. But he's trying again, and I think this time he actually is going by a method of releasing this game console that would actually get him to avoid one type of lawsuit or cease and desist. But here's to see if he ever actually ships out any of his new game But let's go back and actually, we're going to have a discussion between Chiki and I. We're going to talk about the different kind of methods that led to this story. Now, first of all, before I begin, how are you doing, Chiki?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Also,
No.
thank you for inviting me on your live stream to talk about this subject.
And what games have you been playing recently?
Recently, actually, I just
Go
recently
straight on.
bought Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on PlayStation 5, and that game is a lot of fun, and it looks very, very pretty.
Now, I've heard lots of stuff about that game in the sense that it runs really fast, and it runs, and like you can go from one world, one like area to another, in basically with no load times. So
Yeah.
just have a ton of open areas. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, yeah. It's a whole lot of that what you're talking about right now. Yeah. So essentially, using this technique where it's loading two instances of the world at the same time, and
Right.
it's jumping between those with seamlessly jumping between them without having to actually like load as older games would, where the whole screen would just kind of show a loading screen and then you'd have to load the next area. It happens right away, and you don't
Okay.
even notice that there's loading.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty good. I've actually been playing. I might be slow on this, but I've actually been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Miles
I
Morales, yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
game too.
I didn't start that game up until recently, to be totally honest, because I was playing just kind of other games. It took me forever, believe it or not. I finished the original Spider-Man PS4, which came out in 2018. I just finished it 3 days ago, and I didn't
Ah,
want to start Miles Morales until I finished Spider-Man. And it takes me so long to play these games because there's so much that goes into like life in itself, and so many different games that you just have to finish.
and
And it takes
and
me
then
forever to beat one game.
and then there's the classic formula of open world games where they shove so many like little things in there in between, so that like everywhere you go on the map there's a whole bunch of little dots, and it's like, oh, you can do this and you can do that, and there's also
Yeah.
this, and then there's that collectible over there,
Right.
and then you kind of feel like you need to do it but you don't have to, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally makes sense. And I had that same trouble because open world, I want to do it all, but it's kind of like
You don't have the time.
don't have the time. So it's like just get through the story. You'll
Yeah.
maybe come back to it and then
You try,
do
you
it
try,
all,
you
like,
try.
eventually.
The way I look at it is, you go through the story, right? You, you make sure to take care of the entire story while you
Go
have
straight
time,
on.
and then sometime in the future, maybe like 2 years, 3 years from now, when you actually have free time, you always have the option to go back and do all those things that you didn't complete.
Yep, yep. That's true. That's
Get
true.
ready
And
to
I
turn
I
left.
do think I'll go back eventually to the original Spider-Man. It's fun, but Miles
Turn
Morales just caught me by surprise because it's actually better than I actually anticipated. So that's pretty cool.
That's good.
Um, so on to today's subject, okay? And I was talking to Cheeky, for everyone watching, a moment ago to see if he knew anything about it, and he was like not only caught up, but he was like telling me stuff that I didn't think he knew. And I was doing a bunch of research for this, and I didn't want to make this video because I don't really care about anything that he's been doing, but from a business standpoint, that's where it really started to click for me as to what's the main
Right.
motivator, what's
And
the
then exit
drive,
right.
why is he doing this when the gaming community obviously
Exit
knows
right.
it's some sort of scam or some sort of ripoff, but there's always a reason, there's a method to the madness, and I think exploring the
At the
whole
roundabout,
logic
take the
about
third
why
exit.
he's doing what he's doing, besides,
Keep
he's
left.
rich and he can do it, and he's the first rap artist to release a console, which he keeps claiming. There's a method to that
Exit
madness,
now.
which you can be angry of,
left,
especially if you
and then
respect
turn
the
left.
gaming business and the gaming community. But from a business
Turn
standpoint
left.
and making money, he's kind of taking it from that angle. So let's first I want to share with everyone the reason that, okay, if I'm a nostalgic game guy? Why am I talking about this? And what does this have to do with anything? Well, I took part of what he's doing personally because his console, he first released a console or tried to release a console or was saying that it was his console in 2018. And in 2018, he was releasing like this like whole video game, like kind of like retro console that actually had the look of a PlayStation and Xbox baby, along with even a Nintendo Wii portable version. I'm pulling it up on the screen so you can see it right there. But that console in itself, and it's this upper right one, so I'll just open up this article. It was meant and it came built with pretty much classic 16-bit
Let's find a new route.
systems, NES, Game Boy Advance, I think even PlayStation compatible games as well, and Sega games. So that in itself is like, okay, the idea to bring an emulator to a console and then sell it is nothing new. However, there's specific legal ramifications to that. But not only that, the problem with when he did it was that he released it with games already included. And those of us in the know knew that if he were to release that console in the US, he would probably get sued because he doesn't own the licenses, or he didn't license out any of those titles to be released in the US. What did you think of those events, Jakey?
Well, it's exactly what you said. So I guess he is trying to make a quick buck, right? Trying to slap his name on a bootleg console that's made in China, because these consoles are coming from China. So he's just trying to slap his name on there and trying to get and sell as many as he can over here in the US. But like you said, because of legal reasons and the fact that he doesn't have the license to sell any of the actual official games that are on there, then he's just going to get sued, like right away, right off the bat. He's not going to be able to sell any of them here in the US. If there is some sort of like bootleg black market that you can sell it on, maybe like eBay, like under the drawer or something like that, like something under the record, like no one's really seeing it, then maybe he'll be able to make money off of it. But yeah, like there's just no way he'll be able to do that legally in the US. In China, that's a different story. But then again, who's going to buy a Soulja Boy console in China? No one really knows who he is over there, you know?
Right. That's why they sell it under a different brand name.
Yeah.
Keep left.
And I apologize to those watching. I lost a connection for a split second there. So some of what you said wasn't heard. So, Chicky, if you could just repeat yourself if you don't mind. What did you say about like this move?
Okay.
What he did.
Well, the consoles themselves aren't anything unique. They're just bootleg consoles made in China that are running emulators of so most of them are just like really cheap games that aren't necessarily licensed or anything on there, but some of them are actual like real games that are just emulators, like Nintendo games, you know, Mario games, Zelda games that are on these consoles. So the very moment he brings that over here to the US running Mario, say like Mario 64 or something like that, he is going to get hit with lawsuits. You know, he's getting sued. He's going to get all sorts of legal problems trying to sell it over here. The only way he'll be able to sell the consoles is if he were able to sell it on some sort of market where people aren't able to track like the sales of these things, you know? Right. But even then, how much money would you be able to make off of that? And if he were to be able to sell it legally here in the US, the general public that doesn't know anything about video games, the mom and dads who just want to buy something for the kids to keep them busy during the holidays, they're going to buy this up because it looks exactly like a Nintendo Switch, or the one that you have on your screen right now kind of looks like an Xbox, like the Xbox One X, you know, or Xbox One S more specifically because it's white.
Right. Yeah, no, that in itself made sense. Now that was 2018. Now after Sony's cease and desist, there was also, I mean not Sony's, excuse me, Nintendo sent a cease and desist. I don't believe he ever shipped any of these with the preloaded games that he meant to send at all. So that didn't really happen. And because of that, you had a situation where he he just kind of started from the drawing board. And I don't believe anyone even got, if they got a refund, that's a miracle, but I don't think anyone received that console back in 2018.
So the only thing he'll be able to sell over here, you know, you ever went to like a shop, like a small video game shop, and they have like some sort of weird knockoff console on there, like something, instead of the saying Nintendo, it'll say No Todo. And it have like bootleg Mario and like some sort of like bootleg games on there. You know, that'll be the only thing he can actually sell. Something that it's like royalty free, like license free. That you can just slap on emulators on there that are just random games. He'll be able to sell that. You know.
Go straight on.
Yeah. But at this point, his strategy when it came to this console was just kind of like, let's see what we can do, and no one else has done this, so he tried. Now, one thing I gotta give it to Soulja Boy too, and first of all, I'd like to say hi to Big Dom and Lady Chromatresk, I think. Welcome to the live stream over at my Twitch channel. Nice to have you here, and nice to be back. Hopefully I'll be streaming channel content soon. But in this topic, I want to go and address the fact that Soulja Boy in itself, he was kind of a, if you don't know who he is, and if you do, well then bear with me. He was, and I don't know much about him, to be quite honest, but I do, after looking up some of the stuff that he's done, at least in the mid to late 2000s, especially with his that dance that he came up with, that Crank That Soulja Boy song, right? This whole Crank That, that was actually, he was actually an innovator of social media used to market his career and his music career. And he used that social media. In fact, in that music video, Crank That, he had basically used the internet to his advantage, and in the music video in itself, to show you like, hey, you know, I know what's relevant nowadays. Okay, so here's a quick shot of like that music video, and it has computers, it had the internet, it had people celebrating. It was a catchy tune. It was relevant at the time. So he took that, and he was really next level with his marketing when it came to that type of just kind of like breaking himself out. So, and a lot of artists actually use whatever avenue and whatever entry point that they, rap industry or the music industry in general, to become entrepreneurs in different spaces, whether they become producers, whether they become other type of creators. That's just the way they do it, because they know what they're doing, and they at least know people in the industry, and they know that they like, okay, what can I do? What can I contribute? And because he's really on top of that social media marketing perspective, he knows what to do. Keymasters says he might be able to make some money because of console shortage. The only console I have seen in stores are Nintendo Switches. Well, to that point, first of all, his recent console at least is going to sell for $300. You can get a Nintendo Switch for, is it $250? Cheeky?
The 250 version is the one that you can't put up on a dock on the TV, so it's handheld only. That I think costs like $250, but the regular one, the full retail price is $300. They came out with a new version of it with a LED
OLED.
Yeah, OLED screen. That one I think is $325 or $350.
$350. I do know that one. The OLED is $350.
Yeah, so at the cheapest here, you're expecting to pay at least $250.
Yeah, and when this was released, this PlayStation Vita, I don't know if you can see my screen, Cheeky, but this PlayStation Vita,
I don't think your screen's not updating. I'm just seeing like his music video.
Well, no, that's because the actual live stream is way slow. So, but yeah, like here's a first-person shooter, Killzone, on PlayStation Vita that unfortunately wasn't successful. Full graphics, and it looks amazing, and this was released in like
Go straight on.
2013, I think the game was released, and Vita was released back then too. So it's really old, and it launched for $250 with a touch screen, back like touchpad, 2 trigger buttons, four face buttons, 2 analog sticks, regular thumbstick, not thumbstick, regular control pad, start and select, home button, all of that in that interface, and it has phone capability, so you can actually connect that to the phone. The one that I have is the 3G AT&T model. Not that I'd ever use that, but it came with all of that at an affordable price of $250 or at $300 for that model. At the same price of this one, and it's 2021, and this one is nowhere near as powerful, or at least the one that we're going to talk about and mention. It's nowhere near as powerful as the Vita was, but that's not the point of this conversation.
Yeah.
So
is she's trying to find an easy way to turn a profit. Did you explain how much the consoles actually cost?
No, I'll get to that in a moment. So I explained who is Soulja Boy. Now, the reason I wanted to bring Bill Gates in this conversation, okay, and I think Bill Gates is important as well, because Bill Gates is another man with money, right? Soulja Boy constantly talks about how much money he has and how he's doing well. In fact, I'm gonna pop up a quick little video here that you can see Soulja Boy, and he's bragging. I think it might have skipped ahead when I popped it here, but hold on. And when I show these videos, I just want to say, if he curses and says obscene things, I apologize. That's just kind of the way he acts. So viewer discretion is advised, but it's not anything I would endorse or feel like kids should be listening to. But first of all, you can see here that he flaunts wealth, and that's okay, because that's part of kind of a marketing. You want to flaunt it, and especially in his industry, you want to flaunt, you want to act like you're the greatest and you've got it all figured out. So the fact that he does that and speaks the way he speaks is part of his image, which totally makes sense. But let's listen to what he has to say while he was doing this Instagram live stream. Okay, I got a commercial pop up. I apologize. If I could skip it.
Let's do
okay.
this.
See, what is going on in this? Nothing. But he's showing you what he's got. His money, his watches, just praising himself and praising people who he cares about, and then shout out to everyone who's sending him money. Like, that's the image that he's portraying. A guy with money. And that's kind of my point. It's that whole image of, okay, I have money. I make money. So if he's bragging about releasing his console, he's bragging about the fact that he has money. And the fact that he can do it. Like, yeah, I did it. Great. So now you're putting yourself in a situation where you're rich. Now, Soulja Boy can't come back and say, well, that's Bill Gates, he got more money, because that wouldn't make any sense. He brags about money like he's rich as hell. We'll give that to you. But then you can't say you're not as rich as someone else, because you shouldn't, because it's not part of your gimmick. That's why I'm comparing him with Bill Gates. And yeah, I mentioned he's rich, but Bill Gates is wealthy. Let me show you a difference in image as well. So you saw that, you know, Soulja Boy showing off his gold, showing off the fact that he's got money, he's got followers, whatever. Now I'm gonna pull up a picture of Bill Gates. And I pulled it up. Or at least several pictures of Bill Gates. Bill Gates does not take good pictures. But like, here's a whole like library of Bill Gates pictures. Can you see that, Cheeky? Or it might not have
No, I
refreshed
see it.
your
No, I see
screen
it.
yet. So, yeah, Bill Gates isn't exactly wearing really expensive gold chains around his neck, Rolex solid gold watches. His teeth aren't grilled up. He's just not. That's not who he is.
It's also has to do with the industry he's in. Bill Gates, if you were to see him like dress similar to the way Soulja Boy dresses, right? Chain with a gold chains, like 2 or 3 Rolex watches on, like all diamond studded, and he were just wearing like baggy clothes or whatever, it would look bad for him, for the person that he is.
Right.
People would talk about him and we're like, wow, look at Bill Gates. Why is he dressed like that? But it also would be really bad for his business because the industry he's in. If he were in something like art or maybe in movies or something like that, like if he were an actor in a sense and he had all that money because he was doing acting or whatever, or he was in music industry or something like that, then it would be fine. But because he's in technology, and he's in software such as like Windows and all their products that they make, it just looks really bad for him to dress that way. Plus, it's not necessarily his personality. He's just a geeky white guy at the end of the day.
To be honest, and it works fine for him. But to be honest, imagine Soulja Boy, right? Dressed like Bill Gates. Can that happen? What would happen to his image if he did that?
It'd be bad for his image.
It's bad. It's bad. So it's kind of like, that's my point. So from a at least marketing perspective, you can see why they're making business decisions on their personality and their worth and the image that they let out for their particular audience. It just would appear that Bill Gates' audience is much larger than Soulja Boy's audience. But regardless, he appeals to his audience, so it makes sense on why he would do that. So that's step one. Now, I'm also going to talk about Soulja Boy in the perspective of, and this video in particular was kind of showing that, but Soulja Boy going off on like his audience if they are insulting him and consider him broke and how he talks about his money. And I think this is important to bring up because it's also a mentality thing that you teach your audience. And this is where I don't agree with him. Let's take a quick listen. And again, I apologize for any language. No, he's talking about, people coming into his live stream, and he was upset because they were saying basically, insulting things to him, and he was just kind of making fun of people who don't have as much money as him. So, once again, that brings up my point that if he can insult others for not having much money as him, then he's saying he's wealthy or he's rich. Bill Gates doesn't have to do that. Now, in that video, he also flaunted and he spoke about the fact that he can basically pull out $1 million right there on the live stream if he wanted, because he's got so much money. That's what you do when you're rich, right? But Bill Gates is wealthy. Bill Gates gives away money. Bill Gates started he left Microsoft and he started giving away money for the specific reason that he's just at another level. He's saved enough money. He's made the right business decisions. He's the 4th richest man as of September 2021 in the world. So, and he gives away. So when you're wealthy, you've got so much that you're able to do that. And Soulja Boy may say he's rich. He's got a long way to go. So it makes sense that he's sticking to business. What do you got to say about that?
It's still all right. So there's a positive and a negative to social media, right? So he's reaching out to people through social media, building up that fan base, that name recognition, right, of Soulja Boy. But the downside is you also have to deal with people who are they just want to get a good rip out of you, you know, jump into your live stream, say a few like negative things about you, and then they could just disappear. No consequences, nothing at all, and then you have to deal with it. So what he needs, and I know this is not necessarily a popular thing in his industry, but what he needs like PR people who manage that. He also needs what do you call it?
He does have that. He does have a team. It's not that he doesn't. And in fact, I think they're doing a pretty good job.
But not just PR, but like when he's doing like live stream, he needs moderators, like people who actually control that situation for him, so that he doesn't have to sit there and be like, "Hey, I'm rich. You're the one who's broke." You know, he doesn't have to say that, because the moment someone gets on there just to harass him or do something stupid, they boot him right out. You know.
But that's the thing. I think that's further promotes his personality, and that further promotes his image. So by him snapping it like that, he's just being himself. And it got to the point where we're talking about him right now, and I believe that controversy creates cash. So when that happens, it becomes a clickbait moment, which is why that video that I was showing, you know, in this stream where he was just kind of talking about himself,
yeah,
it's called Soulja Boy upset with fans during live stream. Like, that is clipped because that's what people want to see. So that is marketing gold, especially, and it won't hurt his image. Now, if you see Bill Gates clapping back at someone, he can't do that because he's in a different industry, a different type of way of carrying himself is what he's got to do. So.
Yeah. It'll look bad. That's kind of like Elon Musk. Every time Elon Musk tweets something, it can either be something really positive, right? Or it can negatively impact his company and the stocks. Right. So he says something like dumb one day, and all of a sudden his stock just tanks, like or it affects like an industry in some sort of way. For instance, what is it, Dogecoin, that he likes to talk about? He just mentions that word in a Twitter post. Just he could, I guess, in the middle of the night, just wakes up and says just the word Dogecoin. All of a sudden, that coin, the price of it goes up through the roof.
Then he invests in it, but then he sells off, and then the stock tanks. Yeah, everybody wants to sell out.
Do you believe that if Soulja Boy were to do something like that, like just mention the word Dogecoin or something about it being like great or whatever in a tweet, would it go up? No, not necessarily. But if Bill Gates said that, maybe it would, because of the industry that he's in.
But the way that social media works nowadays, you never know. You never know what'll catch fire. That's why it's always a constant guess. But let's move on from there on what Soulja Boy did in 2021 and kind of why he's become relevant.
Turn left.
Again, in the gaming industry. Not for a good thing, but at least for his fans. And we'll have that discussion. So, and as I mentioned earlier on in the stream, 2018, he tried with knockoff consoles, with putting games that were Nintendo games, Sega games. Nintendo sent a cease and desist. No one ever really got their consoles, and those consoles themselves were really Chinese knockoffs that you could have gotten for a lot cheaper back then. 2021, Soulja Boy's back, and he tried to release this Soulja Boy game, this TR console. Now, this portable console runs off of a simplified Android version, and it comes with no games and console. All right, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. So it's called the TRDR Pocket, and it's the Soulja Boy Game Edition, right? It's available for $300, and it says add to cart. You can buy it now, okay? And it apparently is available up to 32 gigabytes of storage, which at
is
least for
not.
an Android, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. But then again, a lot of the games you're going to be playing on there are all emulators of old games, so they're not
Potentially,
at the
potentially because
most. At the most,
it
I'm guessing they're only going to take up like a gig or so.
it supports Call of Duty. It supports other games. It supports Fortnite. You can play
Call
Fortnite on this thing.
Call of Duty on a
Mhm.
screen that small?
Right. And
Why would you even bother?
right, I mean, there's a lot of logical questions. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, 8 hours of continuous playback, and from what I've heard, this thing does last a long time. I've heard the screen is not that good, but it's upgraded. It's got a abysmal touchscreen, but it does have a touchscreen. It's got Wi-Fi, and it's pretty much available for $300 and with Soulja Boy's blessing. Now, that's that, right? Okay, so it seems to be that it almost looked, at least from first impression, that it's a TRDR pocket console, and it's got just a brand name. It's like a Soulja Boy edition, right? And we've seen consoles release with a different edition, right? Like, let's go back to PlayStation 3 released this Metal Gear Solid Edition PlayStation 3 limited edition. So it's still a Sony console. It's not like Konami now owns PlayStation 3, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not. It's just an addition. So to me, that TRDR looked like it's a TRDR console and it's just a Soulja Boy edition for marketing reasons, right? But then it changed. My opinion changed. And the reason that my opinion changed is like, no, this is Soulja Boy dipping his hat into this world again. Because if you look at their Twitter page, the Twitter page is Soulja Boy Game, all with TRDR pocket, right?
Uh-huh.
It's all his marketing, right? And he's got videos here like of it being played. He's got. Now I'm not gonna play this audio because it's him flipping out too much. But the context of this is basically, I got my old console. See, there it is. It's Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy. Ah ha 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 ha. I'm the first to get my old console. I did it. But look at it in his hands, right? It's not impressive to anybody who doesn't care about Soulja Boy at all. It's probably not even impressive to Soulja Boy. But Soulja Boy's not going to be like, oh, this looks like crap. Soulja Boy's going to do whatever it takes to pump it and make it have sales. So, but from this perspective and the way he's marketing it and what he says about it, it's his new video game console. Like it shows right here. It says, my new video game console. He promotes it like it's him. But we know it's not him. Everybody knows it's not him who designed it, him who released it,
Well,
him who had anything to do with it.
no, not everyone.
Besides
The general
slapping his name on it.
the general audience has no idea. They just see Soulja Boy and see that it's a video game console, and to them they're just like, oh, he made this.
Right.
So you and I, we know it's just a
Right.
bootleg knockoff, like Chinese product that he put his name on, and that's it.
Right, and that's a great point because the fact that he didn't create it, but his audience, who doesn't know anything about video games and only cares about buying Soulja Boy merch and Soulja Boy everything, is gonna be like, oh, I need to get up on this Soulja Boy game, okay? So, but everyone else in the gaming industry knows, and I'll tell you one person whose videos I absolutely love. It's Rich at Review Tech USA and his review of the console, and it was sent to him by a friend. I forget her name, but she got the Soulja Boy console directly from Soulja Boy. But Soulja Boy said, "No, we didn't send it to you, but it definitely was their team. She had the proof." And Rich at Review Tech USA kind of reviewed it and didn't completely hate it, but he mostly hated it. And but just by looking at it, you can tell that it's not worth anything. It's not worth the $300. But the one thing that Soulja Boy did, and I might have kind of lost my train of thought here, is that by using his name on it, he can at least sell it to the people that are suckers. And guess who's getting that profit, that money? Soulja Boy are probably, and I don't know anything about the deal. Let me be clear in regards to that. I don't know anything about his marketing deal. But I would bet that Soulja Boy has already been paid, or probably got a good percentage of the money that he would make with these consoles. And the complete liability of shipping the consoles has everything to do with the company that he's working with. Do I know any of this? No. This is my best guess. And I know that he's been working with them on some things, especially promotional. But he didn't design it. He didn't make it. And when you look at where he got the original console from, right? We'll go back to what the original console looks like for those who don't know. It's this Pal Kitty A19 Dora's box. And it's between $75 to $90 on AliExpress. And it's pretty much the same console. It's the same Soulja Boy console, the colors are different, and it doesn't have his signature Soulja Boy on the back, because you're paying that extra $200 just for it to say Soulja Boy. But it's got the same size screen. It doesn't have a touch screen, but it's pretty much the same console. And yeah, that's it. And of course, they can't show you what the games look like because they don't have any licenses. But it tells you right here. Supports 13 simulators, and you know they mean emulators. And it's DC, PSP, FBA. You have to guess what these mean, right? Except N64. But for the most part, you know, MD is obviously Mega Drive. MAME is multi-arcade machine emulator, something like that. PSP. We all know this. And you could connect it via HDMI to your television, which is basically what the Soulja Boy console does. The difference is the Soulja Boy console's processor is a little bit better. I believe it comes with a bit more memory, and it has a touchscreen. That's it. But it's this console that you can get much cheaper. And Soulja Boy is like, you know what? I want to slap my name on it. I'll do your marketing in the U.S.
So how much does that regular one sell for? At the most $90, right? So let's say all he was doing was just buying a whole bunch of those from this company for maybe not $90, but roughly around $70 off of them. And then all he does is he takes it, he changes out the shell to the one with the red one that says Soulja Boy on there. He said that he also changed out more memory on there.
A little bit more memory, a little bit different processor, and a very badly working touchscreen.
Yes. So at the end, he's not spending much on his end for production costs. He is buying the systems and then maybe spending an extra $30 per system, or maybe even less than that, and walking away with a profit of at least $150 per system that's sold.
Yeah, potentially. But the problem with that too is that, has anyone gotten their order of this console at all?
No idea.
So you mentioned that he might be spending money on it, whatever, on upgrading it a little bit before it's sent out. But aside from some limited reviewers that got it, from what I've heard, I can only speculate, I do not know this for sure, is that anyone who's pre-ordered it or ordered it now hasn't gotten their console. Even the one in 2018, it's hard to get a refund. But from what I heard, again, just speculation. But and it's important to mention that I have not spoken to anyone from Soulja Boy's team or anything like that. So this is just speculation that I've looked up and researched, and I'm showing you guys so that you guys can see that. So
Turn left.
that in itself, that strategy would be okay if he did resell it, and people who knew better would stay away from the concept. People who didn't know better, if you were dumb enough to buy it, well, then that's your own fault. But if you're happy with your purchase and spending $300 because you got Soulja Boy's name on the back, well, then you're happy. Then there are no complaints. Soulja Boy's making his money off of ignorant people. Then that's business in the U.S. That happens. So there's nothing more I can say on that. But it's Soulja Boy's marketing that I do not agree with 100%. And the fact that he's worked with these companies that don't ship consoles, I don't agree with. There's better ways of doing it, like Microsoft. So Soulja Boy, as we were saying, Soulja Boy, and I showed this before, but Soulja Boy, I said it like 3 times already. In his video, bragging about he released a new console, and he's like that, and he's creative the way he launches using social media and getting people excited. Okay? Now, if you're working with Bill Gates himself launched the Xbox, and he had a big press conference. He showed off the console. I mean, he showed off that big giant, like the Duke controller. He had the Rock. He flaunted his money in this presentation, in his keynote.
Keep left.
And he had even the
left.
Rock in this presentation as well, who like showed up and talked about a bunch of
Turn
BS
left.
on his presentation. But he was able to show you the fact that this is something we worked on, and it had his branding on it. It was different. It wasn't emulating any other type of console. Sure, it was, all in all, it was a Windows computer in a box that had an X on it, right? I mean, let's be real here. But at most,
Get ready to turn
he
right.
knew what he was doing. He was a wealthy guy,
Turn
not
right.
jumping up and down. It was kind of more like, here it is. Here's what it does. Here's why you'll be impressed. It goes on sale later this year.
Get ready to
In
turn
What do you
right.
think about what do you think
Turn
about their
right.
differentiating strategies based off of the type of media personalities that they are and how they did it?
Okay, so you're talking about how they went about like actually trying
Get
to
ready to
launch
turn
their
left.
own systems, right?
Right. Like, I'm not saying that Soulja Boy did it wrong by jumping up
left.
and down and showing off his, console versus the way the slower, more paced, professional, suit-looking Microsoft way, which, again, I'm not saying that that's the right way to do it either. But
Go
those
straight
different
on.
approaches, which one do you think would relate to a larger audience?
To the general audience, all they want to know is that there is a console, there's a new system that they can buy, what it can do, and when they can get it. So Microsoft going through the process of having an actual press conference, showing off the system, announcing when it'll launch, announcing what's inside of it, and what games are going to come out, that's one thing. But Soulja Boy also holding the system in his hand and like, look, this is a real thing. You
Go
can buy it
straight
now at my website. And it's going to cost $300. That is more hype inducing than what Bill Gates, who's dressed in just a t-shirt and a black pants, in wearing a pair of glasses on a stage, for not necessarily for the general public, because that press conference is usually for the shareholders, to show them what they're investing in right now. While Soulja Boy is just there, is just, hey, look, this is the thing. You can buy it right now, and there's more hype in that. And especially seeing him excited, even though at the end, like you said, no one got any of their systems, or at least you don't know if anyone got Soulja Boy's system, other than like the few people that reviewed it.
Right.
It's
that hurts his audience.
Yeah,
because
but
then his audience members who actually bought it and they didn't get it are going to start to turn on it, which is unfortunate.
yeah, but at the end of the day, that first video of him jumping up and down holding it in his hand, is hype right there. That's building hype to something that you can get at that very moment. Like I'm guessing in the video he said you can buy it now, right? Or it's going to be launching sometime whenever, like, and he said some sort of date, right? But he was holding it in his hand. He had it on. He said, "This is a real thing. This is the Soulja Boy Council. This is mine." Like, where he has the actual name and everything. And he was, and it was working. I mean, it was on. I don't know if it was actually working. And then, like, that right there is hype. Like, at the end of the day, it's just like, I didn't know that was a thing. All of a sudden, it's a thing, and I can buy it now. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, that's true, but you have to deliver on your promises.
Yeah,
but
that's entirely different. Like, the immediate hype is right there in that video, and he got that hype. He got the people like excited for something they didn't even know they wanted. You know?
Right. All right. So moving on. So we've got these two consoles. The way Bill Gates and Soulja Boy launched their consoles, and again, neither is wrong. At least that's when this topic is going to break off a little bit, because where Bill Gates is able to deliver on what he's saying, Soulja Boy hasn't. The only thing that I will say is successful about Soulja Boy, and these are only opinions, is that he's got us talking about it. I don't think I've ever talked or cared about Soulja Boy, except when I laughed at his music video from like 10 years ago, you know what I mean? Or more than 10 years ago. That's the only time I'm like, this guy's funny. And then he's coming into relevance now because he's trying games, and that's something I care about. But then he keeps on abusing an industry that he thinks he knows a lot about. And he might. I've seen kind of like shots of his apartment or house or wherever he is, with like arcade games in the background and a Ninja Turtles like thing that he's got there. And he had the new Ninja Turtles, and if you're a real Ninja Turtle fan, in my opinion, you can go back all the way to the 80s cartoon show and love that. But he had the more modern Ninja Turtles, so I'm like, yeah, but he's 10 years younger, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's just me being a nerd right there. But going on with his inability to deliver the product and then getting a reputation for that does not help his branding or his type of brand, because then all you see, nothing hurts in the rap game as much as, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, in the rap game or music industry, if you say something, you got to be able to back it up. And if you're called out on it and you're a liar, then you should be humiliated. You know, especially with very intelligent hip hop artists that can really come quick with their lyrics and hit you where it hurts. That's why as an artist, you should never leave yourself vulnerable to someone making fun of you, because especially if you lie, because then they can't take you seriously for anything you say. And if you're saying or making stories or just telling stories, then those artists that tell those hip hop stories, like stories in their music, they'll tell you, yeah, it was just something I wrote, you know, I didn't really, do this or do that. But they'll tell you that, and that genre should be taken that way. But when you say something and you say it as fact, you've got to be able to back it up. And if you don't, you're gonna look a fool. And unfortunately, with this whole gaming industry, he's looking like a fool and really doing a disloyal service to the hip hop community. So,
Turn left.
On that subject, there was a time, or at least recently, that Soulja Boy was pretty much claiming that because Soulja Games is doing so well, that on his Instagram Live he was like, well, I'll just let I'll let him tell you himself. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Basically,
I'm making $140 million from Soulja Boy game. So Atari reached out and just signed a deal with Atari. I signed 2 deals with Atari. Owner.
He's the owner of Atari.
No way.
And
Wow, that was so easy. Atari was just like, hey, we just want to give this company away.
Right. And that in itself is just kind of humiliating and stupid. Like, anyone who knew about the gaming industry, again, we're like, wow, he's nobody believed him in the gaming industry. But if you look at his comments on Instagram, which are his followers, I'll just read it right now off the screen. Off the screen, it's saying, Big Draco, Artist Bell says, congratulations. And then, Big Dope Bros, 100. And then they're just, all the comments that he's getting is a bunch of congratulations, a bunch of like, yeah, you did it. And he's actually tricking his audience. And that's kind of the point. That's his point. He wants to sell it to his audience. And they're buying it. He had a bunch of hearts on the screen and everything. And right there, you know you're going to be called out. He was called out with his old console. Basically, every YouTuber called him out on this new console that he released in 2021, which, you know, he would still say, no, it's me. I did it, and it's an awesome console, but we all know he's full of it. But then he's releasing this Atari thing, and then Atari took a minute, but Atari responded, and Atari made sure that they responded, and they were quick to say, okay, maybe I could make this bigger here. We know that CEO of Atari is a dream job, but that honor belongs to Wade Rosen. Oh.
Yeah.
That in itself tells you basically you've been called out. And I'm not gonna put it up, but he had another Instagram kind of like vent session where he started saying, you know what, F Atari, screw Atari, I don't want to deal with you anyway. I did have a contract with y'all. And then he showed the contract in his live stream. And when he showed the contract in his live stream, you can see that, yes, he had a marketing deal with Atari, not to own the company. But not only that, he wasn't even getting paid in actual money. He was going to get paid a few million, I don't remember the exact amount, in like a cryptocurrency, an Atari cryptocurrency. But he's telling his audience right there, look, I was gonna get money, get paid, whatever, for Soulja Boy games to buy. But it was all cryptocurrency, and none of it mattered. And he was not ever the CEO of Atari. So that in itself makes him a laughing stock. That in itself makes him a waste of time. And that, unfortunately, is something that his audience will never see, or realize, because his audience won't care to stop and actually read the contract. And his audience won't know what people said because they're only going to believe Soulja Boy as the one.
Yeah.
So, and they'll say, okay, he's not the CEO of Atari because he didn't want it after Atari made him look bad. So, but what company would even want to work with him from a marketing perspective when you make it look like that? Maybe some would, because some would say, hey, he brings eyes to our company. Because now people are saying Atari got that off. Kudos to Atari for saying what they said. And they got people looking at Atari and say, hey, I wonder what's going on with Atari now. They suddenly care. So as far as I'm concerned, let's say the deal never worked out with Soulja Boy and Soulja Boy dropped him. The marketing that Atari got, best strategy ever. So why wouldn't another company want to work with Soulja Boy and then make him say something that's completely ridiculous and blow up his spot? But hopefully for Soulja Boy, he gets money off of that before that happens. But then that's so much of negative energy. Negative energy. What do you think about this whole Atari debacle?
So what I think, what I believe, he has good intentions. He just doesn't have the correct people supporting him. Like when it came to what he was saying on Twitter or on Instagram with Atari, that could have been something that he had to run by his PR group, like his PR people, and also his social media team, who would have instantly said, "Sir, that's not what happened in this contract. You don't own Atari. You don't own anything. As a matter of fact, they would have mentioned what you said. It's like this is what they're paying you in a cryptocurrency. That's all it is. It's just a partnership that you're working with." And they would also say that it's a bad idea for him to say anything of him owning Atari because it's not true. They would call him out on that immediately. Atari would immediately probably call him out as breach of contract for saying something liable like that. That he owns Atari when he actually doesn't, saying that he bought Atari. I think that's what he said, right? That he bought Atari.
Yeah, and that he's the new owner.
Which is not true. Which is not true at all, because that right there could negatively impact Atari, and negatively impact their stock if it got out to if Atari didn't try to get ahead of that right away on their social media, then it could have been bad for them.
Potentially, and that's the risk that you take when you work out a marketing deal with anybody, not just Soulja Boy. And to that, for example, this is controversy, right? But then let's flip it out on Bill Gates. There was controversy and minor controversy, but Bill Gates was involved in two things that people have talked a lot about. And first, they throw Bill Gates' name whenever it comes to the negative effects that we've been experiencing the past couple of years, saying it was his cause. That's one thing, which I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. And that's what I believe and whatever. But the second thing is that he had a very high profile, not high, like it wasn't really, he didn't really discuss it, but like his divorce has caused some actually negative PR for him, although I mean, we all go through divorces, but it hasn't helped him positively. So those two things could be like a reason why people wouldn't want to work with Bill. But those are, first of all, one is a conspiracy theory that's just stupid, and the other one is kind of a life event that tends to happen to everyday people. So I think that at least from that perspective, Bill Gates might be a little bit easier to work with, and he does so much of good philanthropy that you care. Whereas Soulja Boy is just, he brings attention, he brings eyes because of his controversial standpoint with his horrible attempt to enter the video game industry. I wanted to bring up some comments before we continue. Blue says, the only song I ever liked from Soulja Boy was Kiss Me Through the Phone. I think it's from 2008. Well, Soulja Boy at least is trying to stay relevant somehow. Even though he has come out with albums as late as a couple of years ago, I think. But again, he's not selling anywhere near he did when he was first released. And Ken Masters, I remember when the Ouya console launched, it was open source and developer friendly. They were a bigger threat to Sony and Microsoft. Soulja Boy is just trying to make a quick buck. And he probably is. And he's with these Chinese companies, probably is making a quick buck.
So I feel as though he has good intentions with him wanting to get into the industry. Like he just wants to get into the industry, and he probably sought out somebody on his team. It's like, can we figure out how to get in here? Like is there a way to do that? And somebody probably brought up, it's just like, well, we can contact like a Chinese company and see if there's some sort of partnership we can work on where we just use their system and put your name on it and sell it that way. And then they probably worked out a legal deal to do that. So now he's flaunting it. It's just like, yeah, I have my own video game system, my own video game enterprise, and yada yada yada. And he reached out to Atari, and he was just like, yeah, I got my own video game system. Maybe we can work together. And Atari probably came out with like, all right, well, maybe we're not going to work together, but instead, how about we do some sort of partnership, where
Yes.
where they essentially use Soulja Boy to build the Atari brand. Because Atari doesn't make systems, they don't make games anymore, but they use the name as like a brand, you know, and that's how they make their money from it. And it's also, I believe, if I remember correctly, Atari is now they do hotels or something like that, or motels. I forgot I forgot what exactly how they make their money now, but I know it's just name recognition, and also what they're doing now is no longer video game stuff.
Right. So again, I don't know either from that standpoint. And I mentioned her before previously, but this was Sunpie. She actually got a copy of the TRDR game player from Soulja Boy, and a lot happened, and you know, in her review. But basically, it seemed like an honest review of the console, and there it is actually operating, so that you guys can see it, that it did have a touchscreen. It does work, but it doesn't work well. Look at how dim the screen is, for example, and that's as bright as it goes, I believe. And again, it's just with Soulja Boy's name on it, and it's horrible, right? So she bashed. She didn't totally bash it. She gave it a good, honest review, but she didn't like it.
Straight on.
Soulja Boy then turned around and he called her a B, and he said, "You didn't get my console. That's not mine. That's fake." And then eventually, later, because Review Tech USA is actually friends with her too, and he tested that same machine out, he admitted that it was his console. And he even, Review Tech USA had a live stream talking about it, and Soulja Boy joined that live stream, and Soulja Boy gave him like $300 or $400. So it's almost like he got a refund for the actual game console. Again, I don't know why Soulja Boy does that or does things like that, but
because he's not necessarily, like I told you, he's not using a PR team for this. And so essentially, anytime somebody tries to say something negative about it, he tries to handle it himself.
He does have a PR team, from what I understand.
Well, that he's not using them.
Well,
he's going out of his way to like anyone that tries to say anything negative, he's going out of his way to say, well, you're not playing my game console.
Well,
that's not mine.
It kind of goes back to the fact that you've got to protect what you say.
Yeah. But you can hire a team of people that are great at dealing with that, or you can just hop on everyone's live stream and be like, bitch.
Right, but he sells to his audience to try to be authentic, and that's what he was doing. So, all in all, and to conclude this and to get to my point, basically, is the fact that Bill Gates went about entering the industry in a very controversial way, and a different way from Soulja Boy. But he had the right team. In fact, Bill Gates didn't even like the idea. I heard that when the idea of Xbox console was submit to him, he had hours, like multiple hour meeting on Valentine's Day with the pitch, and he was just yelling at everybody. And then one person in the room, who was pretty much an exec, just finally asked the question to Bill and said, "What about Sony?" He's like, "Yeah, what is Sony doing?" And they were like, "Well, Sony's taking over the living room space with their consoles, with the PlayStation 2, and becoming a DVD player and doing all of that." And he's like, "Okay, I think we're gonna have to enter the space too." And that's when he decided to back whatever was needed to make an Xbox console. But he did it. He had the right teams. He did what he needed to do, and obviously he had more money, and that was kind of the point of this video too, to make it happen. Soulja Boy does have a team. However, their strategy of just being a distributor of Chinese branded or Chinese
Keep
machines,
right,
calling
and
them
then
his
turn
own,
right.
adding the sticker on them, upcharging you. It's not that it won't be
Turn
successful, but that strategy seems like it's likely to not be successful. However, on top of that, if they don't ship out these products, and I'm not saying that they haven't because I haven't ordered it and I'm not going to, but if they don't ship out these products like what seems to be the reputation, then that's prime for either complete and utter failure or lawsuits that can potentially be put. And that's this really strong difference between wealthy, like Microsoft and Bill Gates, or just rich, and and I'll say my opinion, not particularly bright, like Soulja Boy. But no disrespect, he earns money. Great. Am I a millionaire? No. Am I hating on it? No, because I'm absolutely happy with where I am in life. And flaunt all the money that you want. I'm happy.
All right, so let's play devil's advocate a bit. So what happens if
Get ready.
so I'm
Turn right.
assuming his website is open. You can right now you can go to the website and purchase one, right? Or purchase a system. I think you were on the
Turn
website
right.
before, right?
You can. It's so strange, and that's an interesting thing. Let's act like a new a person looking for this console, okay? Let's run through that session. I think that's a good point, a good idea. So let's run through
Get ready to turn
the
left.
experience of someone who wants to buy the Soulja Boy console
Turn
that
left.
a friend told him about. So he's not clicking on a link on a Twitter or anything like that, or on his Instagram. They just, oh, I heard about this. Oh, snap. Start streaming. Am I not streaming? I think I stopped streaming on Twitch. Oh well, then it is what it is. But I'm still streaming on YouTube, so apologies. I mess up like that when I use my keyboard. But anyway, on to my point. Let's say you're about to
Keep right, and then exit right.
search for his console. What is that experience like? So gonna
Exit
switch
right.
over to my desktop right here. And how would you, these are all trending searches, I guess, but how would you search for the Soulja Boy console?
For
What
me,
would you type?
all right.
Yeah.
So let's say I am
left.
a youth. I am someone young, someone who's
No,
on the
just
social
you
medias.
yourself.
No,
You yourself.
because this is the way I would do it. I would go onto Twitter, find his Twitter, and then I just see if he put out a link or something to buy it.
Right, but if I'm a parent and I'm not on Twitter and my son says, I want the Soulja Boy game console.
Oh, well, that's going to be a little bit different. So first of all, you
Soulja
got to figure
Boy
out how to spell
game.
Soulja Boy.
Right, right. Well,
You probably spell it Soldier Boy.
well, yeah, but without getting that specific so that we can get onto the point.
No, but that's true.
So-
That's exactly what a parent would do.
Understood, but let's get to the point.
All right, so Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, the
Video
very
game.
first article, and I'm logged in incognito, so you can't really see. You can't really see the,
Keep right, and then exit right.
you know, like what it would recommend for me in particular. This is kind of like a general thing. So Soulja
Exit
Boy,
right.
first thing I see, unboxing Soulja Boy's new 2021 game console. Soulja Boy cannot sell this. Soulja Boy is a brand new handheld. Okay, the truth about Soulja, I'm already getting skeptical. But all of these, none of these is linking to where I can buy it. It's an article. It's Amazon. So Amazon, if I search for Soulja Boy games, none of these are Soulja Boy games. This is 3D Pandora Superhero Mini. That looks like Soulja Boy games, but isn't. It's all like Pow Kitty. Again, it's leading you to the other knockoffs rather than Soulja Boy games. I still, on a first look at Soulja Boy, crappy games, Soulja Boy, crappy games wiki.
Keep right,
On the first
and then
page,
right.
not a single thing mentioned where I could buy.
Exit right.
The funny thing is that that one link that said like crappy games, that would probably be more entertaining than his game console.
Right. So what it is you have to know it's TRDR Pocket, right? And
At
then
the
I did a
roundabout,
search
take
for
the third
TRDR
exit.
Pocket, which again, not Soulja Boy. And then you get this website. And this looks like to be the Soulja Boy games. But if you notice, Soulja
Exit
Boy
now.
Edition is only one of them. This one is Euro Black, no Soulja Boy, no Soulja Boy, no Soulja Boy,
At the
Sunkissed
roundabout,
Orange. They're all the
take the
same
first
price. There's only one that is a Soulja Boy.
Exit.
How is this his console? You see that point? It had nothing to do with Soulja Boy. The website is not Soulja Boy. It says TRDR. It just has his brand here, just like the PS3, Metal Gear Solid PS3. So that's why I don't think he's marketing like it's his, but it's not his. So I do not believe that if there are any shipping issues, it's something that he's dealing with specifically. It's somebody else. And this is where the point why this is not good for gaming. This is not good for gaming because A, he's using someone's name, Soulja Boy. He's using his name and just talking crap about it. So you're hurting yourself. If TRDR, you're an independent company handling this, unless I'm not sure if TRDR is owned by Soulja Boy at all. I'm not saying that, but it doesn't look like they are. It's really kind of skidding towards a really funny territory here because you're upselling an obvious knockoff of a Chinese branded console, and you're doing a pretty bad job to where you're just getting negative. But the number one thing is if you want to scheme those people who are Soulja Boy fans, and besides clicking your link on an Instagram tweet or something, if they're not connecting through there, there's no way of Google searching Soulja Boy games and really getting to your merchandise. So another thing that I did want to mention is, okay, what if you're just a fan of Soulja Boy, right? And I want to buy his merch. And in his merch, right, it's got to be official Soulja Boy merch. If he's got merch, he's going to have his game console on there, right? So I go onto this shop that seems to be sell what Soulja Boy's merch is. This is SODMG.shop. We got a bunch of shirts, right? First ever to do it. And it's a bunch of really bad t-shirts and a really poor developed website. I click home, that's what that is. I click shop, I get shop wall, hoodies and sweaters, accessories. That's it. No Soulja Boy. And it says down here, official Soulja Boy merch managed by the Pulse Agency. First of all, the website's horrendous. I think anyone who uses Squarespace and works on Squarespace for 5 minutes would probably develop a better website. Because with Squarespace, it's fast and easy. No, I'm not going to start one of those commercials. I'm not sponsored by that. But I'm sure many of you have seen that. But all in all, it's just, it almost seems like, even buying his official merch seems like pretty shady. I don't know if I'm going to get what I pay for. So the lesson today is, if you're a Soulja Boy, and even a Soulja Boy, if you even listen to this stream and watch this stream, I'm not saying your marketing is horrible. I'm just saying that the follow through has to be something. That's all I say. Any last words?
No, not really. I think we went over everything. I was just thinking, like, if what would be the worst case scenario for Soulja Boy if you were to try and release these councils and a bunch of people flood his website, buy a bunch of them, but he never follows through on actually delivering any of them? Would it still be a positive for him because he's getting PR? Like, at the end of the day, you and I are talking about him, even though a month or two ago we probably wouldn't have.
I think the only positive for him is that actually I don't see any positive in that arrangement, except for the fact that he temporarily has a lot of people's money before he has to give it back.
But let's say he isn't able to deliver on his promise of getting those councils out, right? So he refunds everyone all of their money. So now there's no lawsuit, there's no problem, no one's going to sue him because they all got their money back. Exactly every single penny that they spent. He got, his name is now, everyone's talking about him. And like they said, any publicity is good publicity. So it's publicity for him.
Yeah, I mean, if he spun it in a creative way where he could somehow say he was a victim, but he believed, because at this point it's really hard to believe because he's been pretty much called out in so many lies. If he could spin it out a genuine way of how he was victimized, like lay everything out without being a jerk about it, and tell you what he was really kind of struggling through, get at people's hearts, where you're saying, oh man, he did it because of this. That's likely. And if he did it, people can actually bond with him. Then it can be an opportunity to do PR gold. I don't think he would spin it that way. I think he would spin it, play the blame game, curse people out, and have people just kind of turn away from him and say, you know what, screw you. And then that could potentially hurt him.
Get ready.
So he's just really got to appeal to an audience that would stand behind him should that worst case scenario happen. But I don't see him doing that, quite honest. He didn't do it 2 years ago with the others. He just cease and desist. I don't know if he issued all the refunds. That I don't know anything about how that was really handled. I just heard that a lot of people ordered it to give their money back. Anything to say aside from this whole Soulja Boy thing? First of all, comments go to you if you guys want to drop any comments now during the live stream, or say something in the upload. Let me know in the comments below. I'll probably break this up into different sections and re-release it on my channel in different videos. But any last words on the gaming industry in general, Cheeky, before we sign off?
It's very difficult to break into the game industry. You have to find your own niche. Soulja Boy, at the end of the day, was trying to find an easy way in by putting his branding on a Chinese product. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like, at least at the moment, that he's going to be able to follow through on that. But if he were able to legally get these systems in the US without having to worry about any sort of copyright issues, like having a Mario game on there or this and that, if he had like very generic games on there, I think he could be able to turn enough of a profit that people start talking about him in a positive way, or talking about what he's doing in a positive way. And it might spark interest from other people to do the same thing. So essentially, a lot of people do this now, where they partner with like a vineyard, right? Like a type of wine or whatever, and they put their branding on there, and they sell that same wine, like let's say a Pinot Noir that would have sold for like $14 in the store, but now they're selling it for like $36 or $40 because it has that person's name on there. Right. Soulja Boy is just doing that, but with video games.
Right. All in all, my honest take, like I said, good luck. We'll see what happens. And I would definitely, and I mentioned a lot, Sunpai but subscribe to her. Subscribe to Rich and Review Tech USA. He does a great job. You can find Ed Manuel Rodriguez YouTube channel as well. You've got like a few subscribers there. He does live streams of MMORPGs, and you can subscribe to me if you enjoyed this session. Thank you for joining me, Cheeky, on this live stream, and you can obviously subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my content that has to do with, you know, nostalgic games and anything coming into light and relevance in 2020. Have a great night, guys. Thank you, and see you later. Bye-bye. Hello, you still there?
Yes, I am still here. You're no longer streaming?
No longer streaming. I stopped streaming on Twitch like early because when I hit my default to stop streaming on OBS is enter, and I hit it when I was doing a search.
Ooh, you don't want it to be enter. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to change that. However, because I have OBS that streams to Twitch and YouTube at the same time, the YouTube thing doesn't have a shortcut key to stop streaming on YouTube or to start. So I have to manually click. Actually, I'm going to take off the auto start and stop on OBS. I keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah, I mean, enter is just a really bad button to have. That seems like a button that you would press a lot.
Yeah, well, it's the enter next to the keyboard, not the enter next to the number keyboard, not the actual letter keyboard enter.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's not the return key. It's the enter key, like on the number pad.
Right. Yeah. So, the previous stream got viewed a few times. Like the stream did pretty well for what it was. We always had somebody watching, and up to 4 people. I've had it on my channel at least at most like 200 people at the same time over Shenmue stuff, but this particular topic was just to get a video done, and a video that I could break up into several sections. And people were watching. It obviously didn't. There were more that could have watched it. Holy cow.
Well, that went well. I think I timed this perfectly. I was playing, streaming. Actually, I'm still streaming it right now. But I was streaming me driving a truck game. And essentially, I was talking to you as if it were the radio. And it sounds exactly like if we were just listening to the radio while driving a truck. And I just finished a delivery in the entire time that we were streaming.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It is. It is.
Before I go, what did you think about... Did you watch the latest, what you call it? The, something of wrestling. It's called the,
Dark Side?
Dark Side of the Ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with Plane Ride from Hell.
Yeah, actually, I watched it today.
Well, what did you think?
It was... I don't see. They said the Vince McMahon was there. Why the fuck didn't Vince McMahon like get up and do something? Did he just kind of? Did he just kind of sit there?
Yeah, because that's kind of more for JR to handle, because he doesn't like to get involved with the talent. Vince McMahon, when he speaks to talent, he has a really bad effect on them. Like if he's reprimanding them, and he gets pissed easily, so he might like fire them like on the spot.
And he did. He fired him through JR.
Yeah, he fired Mr. Perfect. He fired Razor Ramon. But he likes JR to do that first. So it's like there's never really a problem with him or whatever. It's just kind of how the industry works.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, Are you still there? I think I put the microphone like far. That better?
Yeah, no, I hear you now. Yeah.
I totally thought that I was still on the phone with you. But yeah, yeah. So, and did you hear about Ric Flair like losing deals and stuff?
Yeah.
And Tommy Dreamer like get like was I think let go permanently suspended from AEW.
From TNA or Impact or
Oh,
whatever it is.
oh yeah, yeah.